To wait as long as possible before I went outside, hoping that I don't want to escalate things, push things, remember, Rita threatened that if I played with Pusher outside, when she left her outside by herself, that she would stop taking Pusher outside because I stink and I make Pusher stink. Yeah, that's the level we're dealing with in that person that you saw in the video. So anyway, but I went out. Later than usual, and as soon as I saw Pusher sitting there lonely, she looked at me, and I had to go over to her, and she was really affectionate. I didn't sit down and let her sit on my lap, but I kneeled down and so she could curl all around me, and she kissed me on the nose. Yeah, I leant right down so she could kiss me on the nose, or rub her nose against my nose. Eskimo kisses, and then all the time worried that Rita was going to come around the corner any moment. And then after a few minutes, as much as I did take, I walked away to where Rishi might be and the rose garden where Asha might be, and then came back, and Pusha looked at me the same longing way when I came back, and I came back and I played a little bit with her, and I really, really, really was so hard to drag myself away, but for her sake, after a few minutes more that I wouldn't dare, risk, I tried to wait for the right sort of moment, and got up and waited until she stopped being actively, like cats do, rubbing themselves against her and everything, and let her give me an Eskimo kiss again, and then stood up and saw that she was sitting still, and then walked away and turned around and saw that she was still there. So she wasn't distressed, You have to, it only takes a few moments to have a dignified, appropriate sort of, you wait for them to wake up before you, pick them up, or stand up before you pick them up, and you don't just leave them, in the middle of a caress, because it suits you. So anyway, and then I wrote a letter to Rita again. The ones she won't read, but I'm going to publish it, to BitChute, because it's so important. And it's a sunny day. For some reason, we have really lovely weather again, and so I go out as much as I can to, like I said in my video, you've got to work on your mental health. You've got to. It's not just your physical health. If you're going to try to do good in this world, you've got to have to look after yourself. And you've got to get out. If there's sunshine, get out in the sunshine. If there's something beautiful you can enjoy, even though, as you see from my life, every time I go out, I get hammered, and end up spending weeks, in deep despair. But I've still got to, what can you do? You can either just lay down and die, or take the next most positive step you can. So I went for a walk down to the beach, and I didn't take anything, like not even wearing a shirt, just with my sunglasses and keys. And it's the most beautiful duck egg powder blue, metallic blue, all the way. Sometimes the horizon disappears and you can't tell what the horizon is. Please turn the engine off. Please turn that car off. Oh, hello? Please turn the engine off. It's coming in my window. The engine off, please. Turn the car off. 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 The car. Turn it off, please. Just turn the engine off. Look, the exhaust. No? The exhaust is coming through my window. No, but just turn it off. Yeah, turn it off. 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 Please. So, as you saw, it's not hard. You couldn't see the hand gestures I was making, but just tried to ignore me. It's just parked. For some reason, they leave their cars running here. And there was a truck, a huge truck, that parked right outside my door with exhaust right outside my window. And literally, it was like a gas chamber. It was unbelievable. The stench immediately. And I went out there, and there was no driver. You know, lucky that truck driver now seems to park further down the path or on the other side. And the car driver's just parked there, and I just try to tell them, turn the engine off. You know, I don't care if you're parking there, but turn the engine off. You're pumping exhaust into people's apartments. How you know, if someone's talking to you, don't you just think about the context of what they're saying, whatever language it is? If they're making hand gestures, you know, what does this hand gesture mean? Off, 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 off. You know, pointing at the car and off, off. What else could it be? You know, anyway. So yeah, so you can't do anything without. I understand people will just give up. What are you going to do? But I've got too much to say and too much to do. I'm too conscientious. And there's a few people out there trying to do the right thing. So I'd be giving up on that. Anyway, so the beach was beautiful, powder blue, metallic powder blue, just because the sky was blue. And sometimes it was a false horizon, where because the color is reflection of the sky. It's not, the water is amber. Yeah, but from a distance at the right angle, and when you're walking along the promenade, it's like this beautiful duck-egg blue. And it merges with the same color of the sky, which it reflects at many points. So you can't tell where there's a false horizon. Like, you think the horizon is much closer than it is, and then you look and you say, oh no, there's another patch of water. Because it depends on the water, if it's flat or not. And so it's beautiful duck-egg blue. You know, really beautiful blue. And I didn't, if I had my phone, I would have taken footage, picture or something. And sometimes it's the same color in winter. But, okay, so I'm walking along the Strand and trying to relax and enjoy it and not be totally bummed out by the world and everything and all the shit going on. And, yeah, yeah, you know how you hoard stuff for years, and then the day, when you finally throw it out, in my case, give it away, leave it on the table, the next day you need it. So I got this, someone put out this old monitor, and I can't check if it works because the cables I had for it, which I kept for a long time and found, I gave away about a week ago. A whole bag of stuff, you know. So, but I use it to block out the sun off external hard disk and the laptop. So I'm on the beach and it's beautiful ducky blue. And then it just occurred to me, people it's people like complaining that they're victims. Of course, everyone's a victim. Nobody's a perpetrator. And we hear people say things that are very fall off the tongue really easily, and people like speaking truth to power. It's really popular, you know, to say speak truth to power, and yeah, the car driver just drove past. I don't understand why they think I'm asking them to move their cars. Why do people leave their engine running anyway? The petrol costs so much. How high does the price of petrol have to be before people don't just leave their cars running, you know, while they're waiting? I don't get it. And how high does the price of cigarettes have to be before people stop smoking? So anyway, you know, irrational. I'm dealing with totally irrational. Anyway, so yeah, speaking truth to power. 8 minutes into the videos, and I've got this background. I'm walking around, so you got something to look at instead of my mug. And maybe I'll try to make a video down on the beach like this, like I used to in the park. But when I go for walks, I don't bring anything at all. I don't even wear a shirt. I don't even wear socks. Just shoes and pants. So I can go for a swim if I want to. I will go for a swim. I've been going in the water several times this week already, and it's going to be another hot day, so I'll do my routine, do some riding, do some harmonica stuff, do my exercises. I'll get out and I'll do some quick dumpster dives, just the main ones where the food might be. It's been locked up, so I haven't had anything for a while, but I got 1 or 2 things the other day. So I get enough, and now that I'm not feeding lots of other people, just myself, I don't have to, you know, bring that much back at all. But I try to keep my fridge stocked so I don't run out of food, which I almost did. I emptied my fridge of the fresh food and the frozen stuff because I thought I had to give the fridge back. But then I read a message saying I'm allowed to keep the fridge. He didn't want the fridge over. He hated it because it's covered in mold and everything. Anyway, yeah. So speak truth to power. And I'm writing this letter, so these people don't want to communicate with me. Nobody wants to communicate with me. Nobody wants the communication. It's just becoming so clear what's fucked up in the world. And people deny you communication. Like, people talk about being validated and being listened to, you know. when people don't listen to you and don't even have a chance to validate what you're thinking and feeling, when they close to communication, that's an act of violence. And this gets to this whole point that people love to say speaking truth to power. You know, everyone's a victim, remember? No one's a perpetrator. The Jews are eternal victims, never done any harm to anybody. You know, even the Jews hated the Jews. You know, there's a quote somewhere which I never put into context, but now I guess it makes sense that that Karl Marx was anti-Semitic. You know, because he hated the Jews. But of course he hated capitalism, you know, the certain thing the Jews did with money lending and all that. And the same with Jesus and the money lenders, the Jews, you know. Not the Jews generally, but the particular branch of Jews. I'm doing my juggling too, try to remember every morning. I'm juggling 4 balls now, fairly well. For my left, right brain stuff. Okay, so speaking truth to power. Everyone's a victim, no one's a perpetrator. And people like to say the system's to blame, you know, change the system and we're all perfect, but the system's to blame. Or the aristocrats are to blame, or the Catholic Church, or the Jews, or the Soviets, or capitalism, you know, or the corporations are all to blame, you know. We're all innocent victims, you know. We're all lovely people. And this idea of speaking truth to power, you know, how dare they censor us? How dare they, you know, we don't get a voice. The whole thing of democracy, representative democracy. Remember, America is a republic, a constitutional republic. It's not a democracy. America never meant to be a democracy. Meant to be a constitutional republic. Representative democracy. Athens was democracy. Everyone got to vote. Everyone, you know, every male landowner got to vote. It was just closest things to democracy they had. But they didn't vote for representatives in a parliament. They all got to vote. That's what I'm saying. So not everyone got to vote in Athens, but all the people eligible to vote had the same power. There was no representation. They didn't vote for somebody to fill a position, to represent them. They actually turned up and they voted because they could. There was enough people. And they voted to kill Socrates. They voted that Socrates would have to murder Socrates, the best of men, the master of life, you know, before Jesus, the Superman, you know, the philosophical Superman, the most righteous one, you know, before Pythagoras and Jesus and but after who's the one who led them out of Hades and who played the harp and soothed the animals that loved him? They all loved him, the animals. What's his name? And they cut his head off. Anyway, tip of my tongue. So I'm thinking on the strand, speaking truth to power, you know. And I've written these letters to these 2 people, and they just won't read them, as far as I know. And they've said that we won't read more than 10 words. So everyone, you know, likes to say speak truth to power. And, you know, what a rebel. They're speaking truth to power. And everyone wants to... a few people complain about censorship when it's their Christian church being censored in China, or whether it's their political idea being censored, you know, in America. Almost no one cares about censorship of the sort of stuff I do, of National Socialists, and censorship of historical, what they call revisionists, historical correctionists, you know, and conspiracy exposers, which they call it. You know, they call conspiracy exposers conspiracy theorists, and they add tinfoil hat, you know, insane conspiracy theorists to that, just make it even worse. And people who correct history are called historical revisionists, you know. They're heretics and apostates, that's all, of the official narratives. So people, this idea of speaking truth to power, and I'm thinking, well, these 2 people won't let me even talk to them. They won't read my communications. They won't allow me to communicate with them. They just deny me that, you know. And when you think of all these people speaking truth to power, well, when you try every time, whose power? Your power. Power is relative. One person has power over you, and you have power over other people and other earthlings. More importantly, you know. So you ask the animals, the other earthlings, in the factory farms about speaking truth to power. You're the power that they want to speak truth to. When people speak truth to you, you call them vegan terrorists, yeah, or militant vegans. When people in the street or even at an Oscar ceremony, speak truth to the power that is you, yeah, because you could all vote for something, and either the government would have to say, no, we're a dictatorship now, or they'd have to submit to your will. Because there's still the pretense that we have representative democracy. Well, in actual fact, as in the Schopenhauer sense, we do have representative democracy, because everybody actively wills slavery of other earthlings. And so for your government to represent your will, they would have to enslave you. Yeah, your government has to will slavery if they're going to represent your collective will, because you're all willing slavery of other earthlings. And so if we're going to have representative government, yeah, if we're going to have representative government, then it's right and just, and nothing is more correct than the government enslaving you and denying you your rights, but pretending it's okay. Yeah. Because that's what you're willing for other earthlings. That's what representative government means in the really deep Schopenhauer sense, or post-Schopenhauer sense. I don't know if Schopenhauer really went as far as I did. The world as representation of our will. He did, and then I'm also not sure, because he didn't. He claimed he was a Buddhist, but he wasn't even vegetarian. So, yeah, so this idea of speaking truth to power, anytime anybody speaks truth to power, the power being you, my friend, who has the power over other earthlings, yeah, and democratic power to vote for certain things, and you could, if you really wanted to, could you? Anyway, like I said, at least if you tried, it would say something about your will, yeah. But right now, you're not. People don't even will. They don't will freedom. They don't will justice. They will injustice. They will slavery. They will torture and murder. Yeah, and the government is supposed to be representative democracy. So the government does represent their will by murdering and torturing and enslaving them. Yeah, Obadiah, as you do unto others, so shall be done to you. Schopenhauer, the world is the representation of your will. You know, Kant, you should act as if every action you wanted to be a role model for everyone else's actions. In other words, you should act how you want others to act. Yeah, it's a simple way of saying it. The golden rule, do unto others, or the negative golden rule, do not do unto others as you do not want done unto you, I think is much better. Because if you like being beaten during sex, then, I don't want you to beat me. If you're a sadist and enjoy pain, then doing unto me as you want to be done unto you wouldn't be good for me. So I think the golden rule in the negative framing, don't do unto others what you don't want done unto you. And in the sense of talking about free will, I would still subscribe to the idea of a free won't, which somebody else invented, I didn't, a free won't. Whether or not, nothing's free, everything has a price. Saying no to something means you sacrifice something, or you risk something, that you risk a benefit. There's nothing's free if there's a price attached to it. That's the whole point. Yeah. When we say something's free, like all this free food I've been eating, it wasn't free. It took me a lot of work, effort, sacrifice, risk, a lot of filthy, mucky, dirty, dusty, slimy, smelly, uncomfortable work. Yeah. And effort, bruises, muscular strain. It was real work getting all the food from the dumpsters. Nothing's free. If something's free, there's no cost attached. Yeah. So anytime you're paying a cost for something, it's not free. By definition. Yeah. So free will, and this is an improvement even on everything I've done in the past. In my first book, all the science, cognitive science, all the neuroscience, all the stuff, experiments with the brain and, left and right eye and everything. The very fact in the definition, precision in language, comes to your rescue. No, there's no free will, because what you will always has a cost, either for you or for others. It's usually for both you and others. Externalities in economics. So I never planned I was going to make a breakthrough in that. I've been thinking about this, and maybe I've made comments about this before, but free will doesn't exist, but free won't. It's also not free, yeah? Because there's always a price. There's a price in doing something, It's the opportunity cost of everything else you can't do as a result, and free won't, the price of not doing something. So not enslaving other earthlings means you have to sacrifice certain goods and services, or you have to pay a lot more for them because you have to find someone who's willing, to do them for a reasonable price. It's why in the West, where this whole immigration problem, if the people, the labor unions and the people had decided, look, let's have a free market in the labor market. There's never a shortage of lawyers, and there's rarely a shortage of doctors or dentists, because when there is a shortage of lawyers or doctors, it's already there's more people wanting to be lawyers, doctors, and dentists than there are positions, because they get paid so well and they have high status, whatever, and prestige. So if you can't find people to work in your Mercedes factory, or if you can't find people to collect the garbage, or if you can't find people to clean your hotel, you have to pay them more. And you have a free market for it. You have auctions. You can have an auction for 6 months contract. Find out the lowest price at which people are willing to do the job. And also sometimes the highest price that you have to pay for them to do the job. And if it happens that nobody wants to be a cleaner in Germany, then you auction the contracts. And if it happens that a cleaner for 6 months of one contract gets paid more than a doctor, that's the market. There's no other arguments, no excuses saying, the other person studied longer and paid more for their education. That's not the point. That's not what a free market's about. It's about supply and demand. I said to Roman, supply and demand. He goes, what's that? What's supply and demand? It really boggled my mind. How could someone's English be so bad or intelligence be so low? They don't know what supply and demand is. I was speaking clearer than I am now. So that's what happened in the West. So they got all the immigrants to do the jobs. People who are desperate to leave their country and desperate to go somewhere else. And they were willing to do the jobs that nobody else wanted to do. And now they're in Germany and Sweden and everywhere. And then they don't want to adapt to the local customs and whatever. Why would they? Look at the sad, sorry state of Germans in Germany. Who would want to integrate with German society under the conditions which Germans live now? There is nothing admirable apart from technology of Germans now. They're slaves. Who would commit the sacrilege, of defaming their own ancestors and submit to all that? Who'd want to integrate with that? Of course, if I was Muslim, I wouldn't want to integrate with German society. I'd say, fuck that, look at them. Look at the peasants, look at the slaves. Anyway. If there was a free market, they never would have had these immigrants come. The rich people in the middle class are happy because they're not competing with the immigrants for jobs. The immigrants can't come and steal the job of the lawyer or the doctor or the dentist, or even mostly the teacher or any of the professions, even a lot of the trades. The immigrants can't come in and compete with them, but they're competing with the unskilled, the lowest paid workers, and that's why they fuck everything up. But the middle class love it because they get their work done cheap. They don't have to pay more, In a real free market, which Adam Smith talked about, which could never function under globalism, he said so. Everything had to be national, like National Socialism. Everything had to be national for free market, the invisible hand to operate. Under a free market where you didn't have globalism and didn't have mass immigration, etc., you'd fill every job. It's just would piss some people off. The teacher would not be happy that the hotel cleaner got paid the same as the teacher. And then I'd say to the teacher, well, if you like cleaning hotels, go and do that. Maybe the cleaner wants to teach. There's a lot of cleaners who would prefer to teach for the same money. And for the same money, there's a lot of doctors who'd rather be gardeners for the same money. Yeah, a lot of gardeners would be, if people got to choose things based on the job they wanted to do and what suits them rather than the money, So there'd be no point a doctor complaining, I spent 6 years at university and the person cleaning the hotel gets paid the same as me. Sort of like under socialism, Soviet socialism, Because then you say to the doctor, well then, if you don't like being a doctor, that's okay, go and be a cleaner of the hotel. You'll find the doctor prefers being a doctor than cleaning hotels. Because cleaning hotels and cleaning toilets and stuff is probably not as much fun as a high status job as a doctor. even if you paid the same money. Even if they paid every doctor the same as a cleaner, you wouldn't have a shortage of doctors. You know, you'd have a different system. You'd have more doctors, and they'd have more time for people. And they'd use AI more, and they use the internet more, and well, all this kind of stuff. Anyway, so I started off. So nothing's free. Everything has an opportunity cost at the very least, which means you can only eat one chocolate bar at a time. Unless, you can stuff your face with 5 chocolate bars and eat them at the same time, but then you're sacrificing the other 100 chocolate bars that you can't stuff in your face because your mouth is already full. So there's no free anything. There's no free will, and even there's not a free won't. But in terms of ethics, we're talking about free won't. It doesn't matter if you have free will or not for ethics. You do have a free won't. Everyone can say, unless the only thing you have to eat is another earthling, you can't say you can't stop eating other earthlings and torturing them and enslaving them, because you can. And that's why I'm writing this book. I have to remind myself to keep working on it, and why I'm doing it. Because at the end of the day, the people I'm trying to help are fuckers, and they're monsters, and they deserve the worst that they get. But that's not my agenda. That's not how I started this. That's just my emotional reaction to how they treat me, and everyone like me. But to clarify clearly and forever that there's absolutely no need for the enslavement, torture, and murder of other earthlings. Everyone can be vegan. And it's actually superior, as far as I can see, and that's what my book will get at, that you don't need to, that you're better off not. And that anyone who thinks that by eating animal products, you're getting all the nutrients you need, and that by being vegan, you miss out on them, is totally wrong too. And that's what the book's about, clarifying all those things. But remember, truth to power. But people want to have the excuse, don't they? People love to have a narrative, an excuse. People want to... People don't want to be deprived of this argument that they need to. At the moment, they just enjoy their dominion. They enjoy torturing, and not so much directly enjoy torturing, but maybe they do, they're sick people, but they enjoy the products of the torture and the slavery and the murder. And they enjoy the taste, whatever, and they enjoy, whatever products they think they're getting. So people want to have... This is the thing about speaking truth to power. When I publish this book, people just ignore it. And when you tell people you don't need any of this, it's all unnecessary suffering. You don't need it. It's not good for you. They don't want to hear that, because what's the excuse then? How do they justify their behavior? Okay, it's true. I don't need it, and I'll be healthier without it. And then they're going to say, but I love the taste. And then you're going to say, so you're willing that all these earthlings suffer just so you can have a certain flavor and taste and mouth feel. That's what they'd have to admit to. And how many people can admit to that? They will, of course, and they get together and say, yeah, it's okay, we're allowed to. There's no law against it. I love the flavor. And if other people have to be tortured for it, then fine. Well, okay, that's fine then. And that means that the elites can say the same thing. They don't have to justify... They don't have to say, we need to enslave the masses. They don't have to say we need to mass murder the masses. They don't have to say we need the gulags to keep control. They don't have to say anything. They can just say, no, we like doing it. It's fun. So this idea of speaking truth to power. Anytime you speak truth to power, you just get angry. Like I did when I said they're shitty people. They did shitty things and they're shitty people. I didn't globally say they're shitty people. I focused on the shitty things they did. That's why I even changed the name of the letter from letter to shitty reader, just to change to letter to reader. But I said the things they did were shitty. And I talk about shitty people all the time, so it's not like a hate crime, irrational. Give all the reasons why it's shitty, and I use big words like shameless and despicable, and what's more despicable than punishing your best friend who's been with you for 15 years, because Rita's had Pusher since a kitten, before she got married, before she had kids. Pusher and Richer a year later were there for her. You know, what's more despicable than punishing Pusher because she hates me irrationally for no reason at all. Anyway, so speaking truth to power. So, you know, people talk about censorship. We talk about censorship. Most people don't, but we do. And a lot of people, when you say speaking truth to power, for most people that resonates, you know, the idea that, yeah, the powerful should listen to us, you know, the French Revolution and the peasants' revolts in Germany and the Magna Carta and the Constitution of America. These are all speaking truth to power, saying they should listen to us. Yeah, and people complain they get censored or they get punished if they do in China or, you know, under dictatorships, and in Australia. But that most people don't understand that, you know. So people talk about the idea of speaking truth to power resonates, but people, like it's always, when people talk about violence, they're always talking about themselves as victims and never as perpetrators. They never see themselves as perpetrators of injustice, only victims of injustice. They don't give a fuck about the injustice that other people and other earthlings suffer. They only give a fuck about the injustice that they suffer. And will never connect the two. They refuse to connect the two. Like Obadiah said, for as you do unto others, so should be done unto you. That's been around for thousands of years, or at least hundreds of years, depending on, you know, what you believe about the Torah, anyway. And, you know, it's logical. The golden rule, you know, don't do unto others as you don't want them to do unto you, in the negative sense, you know. And being a role model, you know, the things you do in secret, if you can't do something in public, not because you'll be persecuted like people like me, but if you're too ashamed to do something in public with the camera watching you, then maybe you shouldn't be doing it at all, you know, sort of thing. I mean, real things with real victims and real risks attached. Yeah, and remember, you don't have to actually have a victim, you just have to have a real risk of there being a victim for there to be a crime. But if there's no risk of there being a victim and no victim, then there can't possibly be a crime. To say it's a crime against society or a crime against the legal code or something, there has to be a victim or a real risk of somebody becoming a victim. It doesn't have to be an actual victim. If you're driving like a lunatic in the car park, there's lots of potential victims. So that's, you know, definitely a crime, even if you don't hit anybody because you're lucky, you know, on that day. So yeah, speaking truth to power, that's what this video was about. That's the idea I had on the promenade, walking along the beautiful, looking out at the beautiful water and the ducks. I call them my ducks, and I go and talk to my ducks. Lots of ducks out there. And there's a heron, and there's some other seabirds. And I met Nancy. Nancy's the cat, was rolling around in the sand. But Nancy likes to keep a distance from people, which I fully understand. So I never chase after cats. I always stand at a distance and see if they come to me. And she comes to me sometimes when her owner's there, and when I'm with Rishi. Nancy came to me twice, you know, and that shocked her owner because her owner said Nancy always runs away from people, which is true. So when I saw her this morning, you know, I didn't approach too closely, and she didn't come to me, so I let her enjoy her sand bath, you know. But I was thinking, speaking truth to power, see, we're such fucking hypocrites, and I really want to swear all the time, you know, because you are power. Yeah, if I speak truth to you, that is power, you don't listen. If I speak the vegan truth, you call me a vegan militant. Yeah, you call me a vegan terrorist. If I say we should do something about it, you call the people who actually do something about justice and truth and preventing mass murder and preventing genocide of other earthlings, you call them vegan terrorists. Yeah? So how does this idea of speaking truth to power? No, you can't speak truth to anybody. Yeah? So if you are not willing to listen, then you are a total hypocrite to complain if the people you are have power over you don't listen to you. Yeah? You think about it. You have power over so many earthlings, but all you complain about is the people who have power over you. That's what people do, they're hypocrites. So speaking truth to power, think about it, you know. Anyway, okay. So I'd like to, like when I leave Pusher, I'd like to leave on have some sort of closure and some sort of completion and make it feel like it's a natural thing, but I don't know how to conclude this But basically, it's just hypocrisy. Remember, everyone is a victim. Nobody's a perpetrator. Yeah. Everybody cares about injustice they suffer, but nobody cares about the injustice they perpetrate against others. You know, people care about what the people who have power over them do to them, but they don't think about the power they exercise every day over other earthlings and how they exercise it. And okay, so the final closure is the idea I didn't know I was going to say is that we do have representative government. Yeah. All around the world, the Cult of Judea represents our will to dominion. All around the world dictatorship represents us. It represents our will. We are the role model for the Cult of Judea. The Cult of Judea is a representation of our will. It's representative dictatorship, it's whatever you want to call it. But the Cult of Judea only has power because it resonates with our will. We are the role model for the Cult of Judea. Yeah. If we don't open communication with all earthlings and see the situation from everybody's point of view, and consider the merits of every earthling when we make our cost-benefit analyses, then that's the role model that we're setting for the Cult of Judea. Yeah. So I didn't plan this. I was going to talk about speaking truth to power. Basically, to conclude this video, we have representative democracy. Yeah. We have the government is representing our will. We will that other earthlings are tortured and have tests done on them in labs. So what happened to us? We got tested on mRNA injections, yeah? We will that other earthlings be enslaved. So what happened? We got enslaved. We will that chickens and cows and pigs get locked up in concrete boxes. What happened to us? We got locked down, you know? We have representative government. The world is the representation of our will. There's no way around it. If you don't communicate, if you don't open your channels of communication, and if you don't abandon hypocrisy and the idea of exclusive exceptional entitlements, including the idea that you think you own your cat and that nobody else has a right to benefit from the existence of your cat, you know, and that your cat should love only you, yeah, exclusively, and should show no affection to anybody else apart from you, and should sit home and wait for you to come home so it can get some love and affection and attention. Yeah, this is all the hypocrisy. And this is why the Cult of Judea is representative government. What can I do? Yeah, how on earth can I do something about the enslavement of beings who will slavery? Yeah, I can't defeat your will. I can't free a slave who wants to who believes in slavery, who just wants to be a slave master. There's no way to do that. So until you reform your will, and we collectively reform our will, or the people who have reformed their will set up their own community somewhere, the government will always be the representation of that will as it is. And right now, the government we have, the world dictatorship, the Cult of Judea, Nakash conspiracy, one world criminal dictatorship, is representative democracy because we voted for it. We voted for it with our actions. Because you cannot vote for something exclusively and exceptionally. It doesn't work. There's no such thing. There's no contract in the universe. There's no force in the universe. The universal principle is karma, action, interaction and consequence, action and reaction, like physics. You can't have an exclusive, exceptional situation in physics. Maybe bullshit quantum physics has all this rubbish. In real physics, there's no exclusive, exceptional entitlement. Everyone obeys the same law. The whole system is under the same laws. There's no exclusive exception made for anyone or anything. Yeah. So my whole enterprise to free the slaves is impossible. Because if the slaves don't want freedom, who am I to tell you what to will? All I can do is educate you about what the consequences of your willing is, and that's all I can do as a philosopher. And in this book, I'm trying to speak truth to power, which is you, everybody. Even the most powerless human has exercises power over all the other earthlings. Yeah, I can attempt to educate you about the facts, but if you don't want the facts because you're inconvenient or whatever, you want to pretend something. You want to pretend Marcus stinks so you can harm him. And even harming Pusha by locking her up in the house, because that's also pretending. So anyway, we have representative dictatorship. Every human being is a dictator. You see how Rita behaves with Pusha, a dictator. Yeah. Everybody given the chance will just tell everybody else what to do. Everyone wants to rule the world, not as a benevolent philosopher king, but as a dictator. Everybody tries to, with as far as it is within their power, to dictate to everyone else. Everybody is by nature a dictator, almost. Very few enlightened people. So if everyone wants dictatorship, well, of course we've got dictatorship. Yeah? If everybody wants slavery, well, of course we're going to be slaves. If everybody wants experiments on innocent victims, then we're going to be experimented on, because we're not innocent victims. Yeah. When people, if you're not going to listen to and open communication with people, and read the books, for example, even, and listen when they say something reasonable, and they're calm and reasonable and rational, then you can't complain about that people in power don't listen to you. You can't say speak truth to power. The world is a representation of our will. We have representative government. Let's put it that way. The government does represent our will. It's a one world dictatorship, Cult of Judea, based on slavery, medical experiments without informed consent, mass murder. That's what we have. That's the representative government we have. If you want to deny that, look at your decisions and your choices, the impact they have on other earthlings. And then tell me it's not just about power and might is right. And like I said, you can want it as much as you want. You can say there's exclusive exceptional entitlements. You can join a circle jerk where they tell you as a reach around, you can have exclusive exceptional entitlements. Yeah, you can act in one way, but still have other people act in a totally different way. You can do unto others and have different things done unto you. That's the reach around of the circle jerk, called dominion. That's the Cult of Judea also, yeah? But the Cult of Judea is representative government. The Cult of Judea, one world dictatorship, where we are slaves and victims of medical experiments, and where we will be mass murdered, and where we will live in horrific living conditions, like in the Gulag. That's representative government. So what are you complaining about? You got to be careful what you wish for, because you might just get it. Well, you got it. Enjoy. Okay. And if you don't enjoy it, then I do have the solution. I do have the answers. Yeah. But speaking truth to power, I'm speaking truth to you. You're the power. What are you doing? What are you doing with my truth? Are you listening? Have you read my books? Okay. Ciao for now.